In a world plagued by reboots, haunted by sequels, dominated by the same old shit, get ready for an original podcast that will gouge out your eyeballs and skull fuck you. Starring Ginger Josh, Adam the Hare, and introducing the immortal Frank. Hold on to your butts. It's the Game Rage Movies TV Podcast. Here we go. Game Rage Movies and TV. This episode is going to be The Bear, Season 3, Episodes 5 and 6. My name's Josh. I'm here today with good buddy Adam.
Greetings.
And if you want to hear more of our podcast, you can go to GameRageMagazine.com. You can also go to Instagram and TikTok at Game Rage Magazine, Twitter/X at Game Rage Mag, YouTube, Game Rage Magazine. Also, go follow All Gas No Trash official on Instagram. Officially. And officially listen to the official All Gas No Trash podcast exclusively, literally everywhere there's podcasts. You can download it. It's everywhere. Also,
you know what's everywhere?
What's also everywhere?
Monster girls cooming everywhere with their liquid reproductive fluids. All over the place on Anime Syndicate podcast, which you can check out the latest episode or one of the latest episodes.
Yeah.
With Monster Girl Doctor.
And goddamn, it is.
What a riveting episode.
It is intense, to say the least. I should know because I was there. Anyways.
Yeah, I was the table, so.
Adam is the table.
If you can listen to the wrestling podcast if you want to know about all the greatest things and all the latest things for wrestling related topics.
Indeed. Anyways, all right, well, I guess let's get into this fucking nonsense with the bear.
That doesn't sound very promising.
Well, I feel like the show has definitely fallen off.
I actually think it got better.
I feel like there's no stakes now. I feel like the stakes are just whatever. It's too nice. It's too like, you make a little bit of money. I don't know. It doesn't feel fucking
It's
intense.
the Michelin star. That's the mission right now. And to be
I don't feel
a financially successful restaurant.
I guess, but I will say, well, I'll let you we'll get to it when we get there, but there was a fucking amazing, the best cameo I've ever fucking seen in my life. The best cameo that this show fucking could have done. And the facts continue to be the main characters of these stories.
Dude, I swear, man, they really do have to make a fucking spin-off show because they're too fucking good. They themselves can be standalone in their own series. Evidently, within each episode that they're featured, fuck, man, they're one of the driving forces of why the show is redeemable.
Yeah, I mean, look, if Shorzy can get his own fucking show from just being a character on Letterkenny, the Facts should have their own goddamn fucking show. Just call it Factville, Factown. Straight Facts. Man. Straight Facts. That's the name of the show. I'm calling fucking FX right now.
I don't give a fuck.
I don't give a fact. Oh, it's even better. Oh, shit.
Too many facts.
Haunting the show. Man, what? Haunted. The Fact fucking saga. Jesus. Anyways, all right, let's get into it so we can...
All right. Fuck, man. Good thing I wrote down notes because I already forgot what happened.
So did I. Because again, once a certain cameo happens, and none of that other shit matters anymore at all.
Yeah, so we start off with Sugar, who is losing sleep over this. So this has been a kind of a persisting plot line, a B plot with her impending pregnancy and eventual birth. She's praying, which is weird because she's at a church and there's like kung fu music. I was like, I don't know what the fuck that's about.
Yeah, I was like, the fuck is going on here?
And then we see her like losing sleep and all that shit. And Carmi's doing the bitch work of tearing up boxes as any good employee would do to minimize the clunkery that cardboard boxes end up leaving behind. So one of the major things that ended up happening with Marcus is that his mother passed away, and we have seen glimpses of his personal life, but this is something now that has it's being opened up a little bit further.
Yeah. And
we see Sid helping him with his mother's belongings and not really sure what to do with them other than he thinks that he should donate them. And then we finally get some type of resolution between what happened in the previous season between them, with Sid basically blowing off Marcus at his advances for any type of romantic relationship. And I think they're kind of square right now. I don't think that's going to be revisited, or maybe it will be. I'm not sure, but it seems like their priorities are kind of set on the Bears' success for now.
Yeah.
So then they started talking about their own family members, and interestingly enough, Sid basically says that they're both part of the Dead Moms Club, which was kind of macabre, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
So they talk about each other's fathers, and Marcus is like, I could tell your father cares about you because he's always concerned with how you're doing, and you he obviously wants to keep you around long enough to, for you to stay at home and everything. And then we come to find out that Marcus, his father, has basically been absent for his entire life, and he doesn't really know him. Partly feels bad that he feels that way, and he doesn't care to have this dude in his life, even if he were to come back. I'm sure that's going to be something that's going to be revisited maybe in later seasons, if we even get to that point.
Yeah.
Me doing.
I was just looking at this news thing real quick, but anyways, go ahead.
I feel like you fucking tune out whenever we do.
That's not true.
Yeah, then why are you on your phone?
Well, because I was just fucking looking at this thing. I got an alert on my phone, and I'm like, oh, what's this?
Right.
Well, let's go listen to the CUP podcast. You can hear all about it.
True.
Also, monkeypox. What the fuck, man? Yeah, we're going to do a whole episode about that. Trust me. Anyways, go ahead. Monkeypox is nasty.
Monkeypox.
Monkey.
Fuck, where did I leave off? Yeah, so Carmi, is being the schizophrenic that he is, is putting a fucking dish together and immediately throws it away because he adds like this, I don't know what the fuck it is, some kind of root or like a turnip or some shit, and then immediately throws the plate away, which is, it's so fucked up, man, that like, he's doing all this bullshit, this R&D work to make the restaurant as interesting as possible, and he's wasting fucking Cicero's money, who is already fucking knee deep. Probably, I don't know, at this point, he's probably like $1 million plus.
Oh,
he's
yeah,
already spent on the fucking restaurant, so it's to the detriment of Cicero, who's genuinely like, I mean, as much as he's an asshole, at least he's supportive of like even letting this happen. And something does come into play as far as like Cicero mentioning something about the Berzotto family, which was nice of him to say, but it's like, it's fucking too little too late. So the big reveal for this particular episode is that the restaurant that Chef Terry was the founder of, or whatever, Carmi's former mentor, her restaurant is going to be closing, and that was kind of the big news for this particular episode. Carmi gets the news, and Richie is getting on Fack about setting up the silverware, because we've come to learn that the photographer for, I don't know if it was like the Chicago Tribune, that's going to be the person the publisher, the fucking news outlet that's going to be covering the Bears cuisine and shit. And then we get this interesting cameo, which I don't even think I could personally believe actually happened. John Cena as one of the fucking facts, Sammy Fack, fucking roided out.
Oh man, when John Cena showed up, I was like, holy shit, this show just got 1,000 times better. Because John Cena's gonna run amok, and run amok he did. He became the focal point of the episode, and this is the other thing. Sometimes shows, you can't have certain people on. Because they are going to take away from whatever the fuck this show is about. Because now, I don't even give a shit about the rest of these assholes. I just want to know about fucking John Cena, Sammy Fack. All right, that's all I care about.
Yeah. So post Sammy's introduction, Sid and Carmy are talking about Ever closing and his fucking dish, which Sid's just like, oh, it's good. He's like, what do you mean it's fucking good? And this is something that was brought up by Garrett, who worked at Ever. He said, oh yeah, fucking the bear's amazing, but it's very much Carmy. It's not innovative to cuisine itself.
Yeah.
Which one of the dishes that was presented was one that Sid had made. So I don't fucking know what that means for the future, but one of the things that Sid ended up saying was that indirectly, or what was implied was that she says, Carmy's too pretentious for his own good.
Yeah, basically.
And that he does things that are fucking amazing as far as cuisine goes, but he's not human. He's out of touch with humanity. And he can do all these amazing things, but as far as cuisine goes, he's too pretentious.
Extremely fucking pretentious.
Sid asked Carmy, he's like, when you worked at fucking Ever, did you know it was special? He said, I don't fucking know. I just buried my fucking head in work. Very much like what he's doing here with the bear itself. Sugar and Marcus we get to the next scene. Sugar and Marcus are talking about Carmy's nose because Marcus went to go into his old, the office, and he has all these notes that he used to have from his previous days of working at other places, and he's digging into one. And Marcus makes the announcement to Sugar that he saw this flower from the previous episode, which was a white violet, the violet is the state flower of Chicago, but it was also a flower that his mother ended up loving.
Mm-hmm. And is it the state flower of Illinois?
Illinois.
Okay.
Yeah, the state flower of Illinois. And that he wants to use it, or at least try to have it in a dessert. And Tina taking on the responsibility of bringing in the produce for the restaurant is basically come back with a barren fucking basket or whatever the fuck she had, noting that things aren't being grown as frequently because there's less seasons to grow things. And Sid and Carmy are talking about ingredients for the bear, fucking them over, because now that's kind of coming to a head between the both of them, that in order, granted, Carmy wants to do all this elaborate shit, but it's also coming at the expense of Cicero, who's spending all this goddamn money. Ibrahim comes in and he drops all his bread because Carmy bumps into him. And then we have this existential question of Carmy asking Ibrahim, he's like, am I fucking this up?
Yeah.
And then Ibrahim's like, no, it's just I dropped the bread.
Yeah, he's like, no, I just dropped the bread.
So then we see Jess and Richie, Jess is the girl that he was mentored by at Ever itself. And they're talking about Chef Terry calling it quits with Ever. Richie and Jess seem to have been developing a good rapport off screen, so it seems like there might be romantic interest lying there. It's been something that's been mentioned in the previous episodes that if Richie is in fact alone, but now we might be circumventing that with a possible love interest with this Jess girl that we learned about in season 2. So then Carmi and Sugar are talking about the end of Ever as well. And they're talking about the photographer coming in. And then Carmi brings up that the beef end of the shop or the restaurant itself needs help. And they thought they were going to be fighting over that. And then Sugar's like, oh, do you want to fight about Claire? He's like, oh, no, I'm good. So Fag is tripping balls about what to do with his hands because some shit about courage or whatever. And he's like, I don't know what the fuck to do
I need
to be
more
a better
courage.
And then Sammy arrives with this fucking floor waxer or whatever to steam this place up. And then we get the introduction of Computer, who's an actual person and not just a computer, to make the restaurant run smoother and more cost efficient. Richie's trying to stop the facts from smoking because they're just fucking ruining the environment in order for the photographer to come along and take the photo. And then we just get like more scenes of Computer just breaking down like where they're fucking up as far as like cost efficiency goes with some of the produce and all that shit. And then Richie's talking to the photographer who is trying to find out, you know, what's the review like? Do you know anything? Do you have any information? He's like, oh no, I'm just here to take the photos. And then there's kind of been this thing between the facts about basically a haunting or some bullshit.
Yeah, it was the SD card. Like he stole. The whole reason why he was doing it was because he stole it. He's like, hey, he took my SD cards and used them without my permission. Then Richie asked him, he's like, were they MBs or GBs? And he goes, GBs. And he's like, bro, you fucked up. He's like, why would you fucking do that? And it's like, what did he even fucking use them for anyways? Like, who the fuck was what are they using SD cards for?
Because the Ted was the one that, I don't know, he's a director.
Yeah, but it's like, he wasn't using it for fucking that. Like, what are you using fucking SD cards for? And then, so then he institutes, he's like, oh, that's it, you're getting haunted. And the haunting is essentially when you do something, but then like, now it's gonna linger over you because I'm not gonna get you back right away. It's gonna take like, a while, and then I will be haunting you the entire time.
Yeah.
Which is great, and I'm gonna start using that because that's an excellent fucking term.
Yeah, and then eventually Ted basically says the safe word, which was iridescent, to call off the haunting or whatever. So Carmi, being the fucking idiot that he is, creates a duck dish, which is the thing that they want to feature within this review. And they send Sammy to go get the goddamn chicken or the duck for it to be served to the photographer so he can take the photo or whatever. The staff needs Sammy to get the duck. Computer is asking to cut Marcus, which was kind of like, oh fuck. This motherfucker just lost his mom. Now he could potentially lose his job. But luckily, Sugar comes in to save the day and say that motherfucker's off limits. I know he's only making 3 desserts, but we need him here because he's basically part of the family.
Yeah.
And then Cicero's poking at Sydney about signing the contract for the restaurant because she has a partnership stake. And then this is the part where we hear Cicero basically having his regrets about the Berzotto family in the past and not having been more involved with them because of how things have turned out. And then Sydney's like, well, you're here now. And yeah. And then we end with the episode of Carmi going down to the basement where he finds a box marked Dee, referring to his mother, and it's photos of Carmi and himself, and it looks like it's somewhat hopeful or optimistic because it looks like there's a bit of a smile on his face too, even though it seems like his mother brings a lot of dread, at least in these current times. So that's how episode 5 ends. A lot of shit happening, at least with some of the other characters, but the big thing was that this once pinnacle of Chicago cuisine is now falling, and Sydney, hearing this news, automatically thinks that they might not fucking make it, which is probably why she's not gonna fucking sign the contract, or she's been putting it off for so long that she's convinced that this might not work out or whatever the fuck. Because it's like, if you were all in, you would have signed it right the fuck away.
Yeah, immediately. There is that one sequence when the facts are talking about their dad haunting their uncle for like 15 years. And he's like, yeah, man, he was opening up a bunch of LLCs in his name and shit and like doing all kinds of, I'm like, that's fucking great. That's fucking awesome. That's the coolest shit I ever heard. That's so funny.
About the episode itself, what would you?
All right, this episode wasn't that bad. Like this episode was okay. Like this was it got better, right? This was better than previous nonsense.
Yeah.
My issue is with episode 6. And but this episode was good. What did you think of this episode 5? What did you one of the best lines before I forget, the photographer's like, why does it smell like cigarettes in here? Was somebody smoking in here? And then the one fact looks up and it just goes, yeah, we were fucking huffing dots in here. That was fucking hilarious. I'm gonna go huff darts, man. That's a great.
I think the episode itself overall it closed a lot of loose ends, especially with Marcus and Sydney finally getting their resolution for their romantic relationship. We got the introduction of like a new character. And of course, we have this other character named Computer who is basically going to be the asshole to, he's like the middleman between Cicero and Carmy to break it down by the numbers why he's fucking up and all this shit. So now there's like an extra degree of added pressure. Like, yes, there's amongst all of them, they're all family or friends or something of that sort. But now you have somebody within the group itself that is giving them more reason to quit or less reason to continue, because it's just continued added stakes for the Bear's success. And at the very least, fucking Carmy's like got blind diligence to follow this thing all the way through, but no passion, no anything, just going at it with pure iron will, I suppose.
Yeah.
So now we transition to episode 6, which is kind of it's to fill out or develop Tina's character, where we get to see what her life was like prior to the Bear or the beef itself when she was working there. And starts with their day getting ready, is concerned about making rent because there's like a 3% rent increase for them. And she works at this candy factory and she ends up getting fired from her job. And this episode is kind of really simple in its storytelling. It's just talking about somebody that is more middle-aged going through the workforce in her later years. And we see her kind of struggling to get any kind of interview or anything as far as like job applications go. And her husband is like very supportive. He's like, oh, don't worry about it. I know we're struggling right now with her losing her job or whatever. And he's like, no, don't worry about it. I'm due for a promotion. There's this guy that is going to be moving up, and it looks like I'm the guy that's in line to be the next person to fucking move up. And I think Tina realized that she's like, no, this motherfucker is not moving up. He's like, not happening. So the bulk of the episode is just Tina going around Chicago and finding any type of position that she can get, which includes going to some type of Ponzi scheme of people like buying a brochure or some bullshit to basically con them into spending money for this one thing, and knowing full well it's like a fucking scam. And then she ends up at some fucking clothing shop where it's nothing but like Gen Z people, and she's like, oh, can I turn my application in? She's like, oh, sorry. Or this person's like, oh, sorry, we're not taking in anybody, or we're not taking in applications. And eventually she goes to just straight posting, or rather applying on jobs online. One of the things that is persistent for this episode is food being mixed in for like her life at home. It's like food is such a persistent thing within this episode itself, and I believe that plays a role in how things unfold in the episode itself after we get towards the end.
Yeah.
So then Tina's like getting worked up with how things have been going for herself, that her husband just got a second job with some other people that he can make an additional $800 for himself. And Tina's like, fuck, man, I can't even get my foot in the goddamn door just getting an interview. So she ends up finding this job or an interview where she was basically going to do the same role, but she needs a degree to basically get the position. And knowing that she's in her middle life or her elderly years, that she's probably not going to go back to school. So she ends up losing out on that job. And then she applies to this one job where she gets a notification, goes to the building, and then she finds out that the position's already been filled. And she basically tells the guy to fuck off and that they should just take the posting off because they're wasting everybody's time by just posting this thing if they're just going to hire internally.
Yeah.
And then we get to the big part of the episode, which is Tina going to the beef when the beef was popping and Richie was in charge. And we have the sandwiches being sold, people showing up in numbers to get the sandwich. And she basically goes there because her bus is delayed and she's just going there to get a cup of coffee. And Richie ends up meeting Tina because he hands her off the coffee. And then they still haven't said who the fucking character is, the cousin character of Carmy, like the short guy, the loudmouth guy. He's actually working in the shop, but like I still don't know his fucking name. And then Mikey and Fack are near the arcade as she walks over to like the dining area of the restaurant itself. And then Richie's like, we need to fucking get this chick out the fucking restaurant because she's crying.
Yeah, she's crying.
And Mikey's like Mikey, who is Carmy's brother, is like showing a little bit more compassion. And
yeah, but it's funny because he's like, the fuck do you want me to do about it? He's like, what do you want me to go fucking tell her? He's like, well, you gotta tell her she can't be crying. He's like, why don't you do it? He's like, oh, I'm not doing that. And he's like, well, cool, you gotta do it. You're the boss. He's like, fuck, all right. So he's like, well, I guess maybe we'll show a little more compassion. Maybe we'll be fucking a little nicer. Jesus Christ.
And the weirdest fucking thing of the episode is that this restaurant is like swamped or whatever, and Richie asks Fack, "Why you want to help us with service? Like you should help us with service or whatever." So, knowing like 3 or 4 whatever amount of time has gone by, that Fack would end up being a server for the fucking beef, which is fucking wild. Whether he intentionally chose that or if that was just what was destined for him. And then Tina and Mikey start talking about their problems. Mikey goes off about the toilet exploding, which was something that happened in episode 1 where that toilet could never be fucking fixed. Owing the suppliers and everyone hates each other at the beef. Tina says the landlord raised the rent and that she's 47 years old. She can't get a fucking job and her life is fucked. And Mikey shows the photo from like a previous episode. I can't remember if it was season 2 or season 1 of like this really baller dish that when he was in Copenhagen or whatever that he sent to Mikey. So we got to see that scene, the behind the scenes leading up to that moment. Mikey is praising Carmy for knowing what he wants to do and excelling and being a chef. And then Mikey kind of gives lore about the Berrizotto family, where it turns out that the father opened up the beef, and then when the bills piled up, he fucked off. Mikey says above all the shit that he likes working at the beef, but he doesn't feel like he has direction. In fact, that he brings up a story about going to like a corporate building and seeing all these people that it should have been dreams that these people have, that they wanted to work at this building and everything. And he showed up, he's like, fuck no, I don't think I could ever work in a setting like an office setting. He's like, that wasn't meant for me. But he's like, but I don't know what else to do. And the reason that he likes working at the restaurant, the beef itself, is because he believes that food is kind of tied to like the best moments and shit. And neither Tina nor Mikey know exactly what to do with their own lives, even though they're kind of in their latter portion of their lives. He says it doesn't really matter to him. It's like, it's what he needs to do. And Tina mentions getting fired from her job. And then she says one thing that she admires about the current generation is like how hungry they are and how she's a bit jealous because if she could do it again, like she would love to be fucking 20 years old and being able to go to school and do all that shit. But
Yeah.
you know, not in the cards for her. She's a mother. She's trying to find her next gig to make the bills or make the rent. And then Tina gives like a speech that's kind of similar to Carmi, which was that she doesn't need passion. She doesn't need any type of inspiration. She just needs a fucking job. And Mikey asks Tina if she wants to work at the Beef, and we see the end shot where her husband asks, "Oh, like how did it go with the job?" And she's like, "Oh, it went pretty well." And then we see the last shot of her pulling out the apron for the Beef, which was it was a cool moment. It's definitely I think necessary to fill out the rest of the characters. I mean, the one person for sure that I would love to see get an episode in maybe maybe this season or the next season. I don't think we're gonna get it, but Ibrahim
Yeah, true.
with the Somalia shit, like if they could give us lore on that. But I think the real highlight of this episode was getting to see what kind of person Mikey was, because all we saw from season 2 was how problematic he was to the family, especially at that Christmas dinner. So to see him be more compassionate and more of a caring person, and because all we heard from Tina is like she loved Mikey, but we never knew why. And now this episode reveals like why Mikey was kind of a good dude.
Yeah.
So a lot of lore, a lot of exposition for Tina and some of the other characters, especially Mikey. So I don't know. I thought this was probably for me the best episode of the season so far.
Oh, I hated this episode.
Why?
I felt like this shit should have been done. I feel like all the backstory shit needed to be done in seasons 1 and 2. Now we're in season 3. We're trying to get a Michelin star. To me, this was an unnecessary interruption into that fucking storyline. Because this added nothing to the current storyline of trying to get a Michelin star. This added nothing to it, and it just took away from it, essentially. Now, the only flashback episode I think we need to see is when and the lead up moments to Mikey killing himself. That's the only flashback I think we need. And I do think you're right, though. That and the Ibrahim fucking episode.
I just
do
want to know
see
what kind
him,
of bullshit
Yeah,
he
I want to see him in fucking Somalia and Mogadishu fucking getting at fucking warlords and shit. Like, I do want to see that. Hell, it'd be great if he was one of the warlords. That'd be fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
But other than that, I don't want to see any other fucking flashback episodes. This was, I feel like it was too late. And really, honestly, they probably should have done those in season 2 or season 1, or hell, maybe they didn't need to have their own 35 fucking minute episode. Maybe you just pack it all into like a 35-minute episode. Each one of them gets like 12 minutes. Like, you know what I'm saying? Or you do a 36, each one gets 12 minutes. You could have dropped the same amount of lore in that time, and that would have been satisfying. That would have been happy. I didn't think we needed a whole episode about this, but that's my opinion.
Yeah.
Obviously, yeah, the act, everybody's good in it, but like in terms of overall story, it felt like just kind of, oh yeah, here's this now. Oh, we're going backwards here again. All right, what do you fucking do? So, I don't know.
I think it fills out the supporting characters to make them more well-rounded, so that when they do succeed, the payoff is better. And for a long time, we didn't get to see why Tina was so adamant about loving Mikey, who wasn't even a family member or anything like that, but rather an employee that she worked with who happened to be a fucking good dude. And I think it just kind of ingrains like why the bear needs to succeed to honor the memory of this guy, to also have the success of the restaurant so that it reflects well on themselves and that they feel fulfilled, but also to say that everybody that has come into the bear is better for it. And I think that's what this episode does. It dials back and goes backwards with exposition and shit, but I don't think it was to the detriment to the story itself. Yeah, we took a step sideways, but I think it was worth it. I enjoyed it.
It also telegraphed to me that this is going to have a bad ending. They're not going to make it.
We'll see.
I don't think it's going to happen. I think this is going to have a bad end. I think they're going to get shut down in the end. Because like by getting us more attached to these backstories, Why would you do that? We don't need to see that to like, oh, be glad when they succeed. No, we need to do this so we feel fucking bad when it fails. So that's what I think is going to happen. I think this telegraphed that this is not going to end well for them.
We'll see.
That's my opinion.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, I don't know. I mean,
I
this
think my
season's been a little fucking weird. The tone change and like I guess I've gotten used to the sort of more less frantic,
put more on the depressing side and void of joy,
Right,
like
yeah.
or any kind of optimism. But I don't know what my final opinion's going to be, but at least for these 2 episodes, I think my opinion has slightly tilted in favor for this season.
All right.
We'll see if that progresses with the last 4 episodes.
Because there's 10, right? So
Yeah.
So the next one will be. This was 5 and 6. So the next one will be 7 and 8. So 7 and 8. Let's see what you got. Anyways,
Although I don't know if I want another exposition episode. If we get another one, that might be fucking. I don't know if I need it.
death knell. That's the death knell. Just jumping the shark. John Cena is the jumping the shark moment. That's
A whole fucking Sammy exposition episode in season 4.
yeah. Everything else is downhill from here now. That's all that matters.
Yeah. All right.
Anyways, all right. Well, that'll be the end of it for us. So if you want to go listen to more, you can go to GameRageMagazine.com, Twitter/X at GameRageMagazine, or at GameRageMag, Instagram and TikTok at Game Rage Magazine, YouTube, Game Rage Magazine. Also go to All Gas No Trash Official on Instagram and listen to the All Gas No Trash podcast. And go ahead and listen to the Monster Girl Doctor Fingers My Fucking Gills episode of Anime Syndicate.
Find out how Carmi, or whatever the fucking main character of Monster Girl Doctor is, basically the Carmi of that anime. I don't fucking know.
You know what would be funny is if they did a crossover of the bear and Monster Girl Doctor, and you had like Carmi fingering, like Claire was a mermaid and he's like fingering her gills, but he's a chef instead of a doctor, and then the doctor comes in, he's like, hey man, you shouldn't be fingering those gills. You're not fingering those gills right. Let me show you how to do it. And he's like, I don't know.
No, you got to stay true to the character. He is so adept at finding out what people like. Well, actually, no, that's the opposite of what his character does. But basically, he would romance them through food and basically give them an orgasm because the food is so good.
I think that is actually an anime already. Like, I think that does exist. I think Frank was telling me about there's an anime, I think it's called Food Wars.
Oh, God.
Or something like that. And that is an anime where it's so good that it sends them into an orgasmic state.
Oh, my God.
Like, that's how they rank the foods, is based on how hard you nut. Like, when you
How hard
eat it.
you nut.
And go listen to that. Yeah, I'm sure we're going to do an episode on that soon. But anyways.
Okay.
All right, well, that'll do it for us. We're getting the fuck out of here.
Oh, hey there, buddy. It's me, 1930s announcer guy, here to congratulate you on making it through this episode. As our heroes are getting in their jalopies and riding off into the literal sunset, they wanted me to tell you thanks for listening to their radio broadcast, and should you be so kind as to follow them on some fancy schmancy radio station publication called Instagram and TikTok at Game Range Magazine, and on some other thing called Twitter/X at Game Rage Mag. Also, they wanted me to inform you and ask if you could be so kind again as to visit something called a website at www.GameRageMagazine.com. I don't know what that is, buddy, but you should probably go do those things. And, don't forget to tune in next time to the Game Rage Movies and TV radio broadcast.